RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD. BlenderHD. You're going to follow me on Twitter. And it's Friday, December 6th. We'll be taking a GPP look for the Week 14 NFL DFS slate on DraftKings. So hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those tummy thumbs. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. Remember, we still got basketball stuff today, so that'll be coming up later. Grinders Live, Crunch Time, all your NBA needs. We got college football. We got MMA. We got the pay-per-view coming up soon. I mean, we got tons of stuff going on here at RotoGrinders. Feel free to sign up for the combo premium package. Get everything. Get all of our tools, all of our projections, all of our, I think, props, pick them, everything. Click on that link in the description. Get $40 off your first month. But joining me with some GPP takes, we're going to go through the tiers, rank all 20 teams on the slate. I'm going to do it with the guy behind the Blitz projections, the best projections in the industry. Derek did really well last week. Did really well.
Yeah, I had a good week last week. You had a good week too, it sounds like.
Well, if you had a good week, I had a good week. All I need to do is wake up before you and get better numbers.
Yeah, last week was fantastic.
But you'll be on the Blitz show for RotoGrinders premium members, and we're gonna kind of do the show in like reverse, because I'll be on your show later and you're on my show this morning, so whatever. So we'll do stuff kind of twice. Although this is more GPP focused right now, so I'll bring up the tiers like we normally do. A, B, C, D, and F. We're ranking stacks. Okay, so we're talking about games and teams and stuff like that, not just individual players, right? Saquon Barkley, yeah, okay, yeah, great against the Panthers. I'm a 1,000,000-yard rushing prop, but are we stacking the Eagles? Who knows, right? That's what we're looking at, stacks. So just because the team is, in the A tier doesn't mean that it doesn't, you play all the players, and F doesn't mean you can't play any of the players. And this is all ownership adjusted. So based on our projected ownership, if a team is over-owned, they may get bumped down. If a team is under-owned, they may get bumped up. So let's start off on the slate with the Jets at the Dolphins. Dolphins are favored here at home with a healthy 25.25 implied team total. And looking at projected ownership here, there's no one that's really going to be that owned. Am I just a glutton for punishment, Cardi? Two things. One, the Dolphins put up points. Apparently, they just don't come through enough to Tyreek Hill or Devon Achane. 82. I mean, Devon Achane was chalk so many weeks. 8,200. I mean, he gets balls out of the backfield. He gets, rushing touchdowns, everything. He's not that owned. And the second point, as I've said every week, the Jets are bad. So, is there a reason? Is the resurgence of Jonnu Smith the reason why, like Tyreek and Waddle, like if this was last year at this time, we'd look at these prices and see this team. Then the team total is healthy, 25.25. There are teams on this slate that have a similar implied team total that are going to be like twice as owned. Is there a reason why the Dolphins really don't, from a median standpoint, don't project that well?
Yeah, a lot of it really is just that they used to have two guys, and one in particular with Tyreek, that would just command so many of the targets, and that hasn't been the case this year. It hasn't been the way their offense has run. And when Mike McDonald, the coach, has been asked about it, he's basically said, like, look, he's hyped up Jonnu Smith since the offseason, how much he loves Jonnu Smith and how he works in the offense. And he's basically said, like, okay, teams are putting extra pressure on Hill and Waddle, so we're not going to force the ball to them. We're going to throw it to Jonnu Smith instead. And that's what they've been doing, and it's been working. So, yeah, plus, I mean, it seems like Tyreek has maybe lost a step or half a step this year. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing. I'm not expecting Tyreek Hill to be the 30% target share, true alpha kind of guy anymore. I mean, on any given week, he could be. I certainly don't mind if you want to take upside shots on it. But I think what we've seen with the Dolphins is kind of what we should expect going forward from a mean sense.
Well, with that being said, I would normally, based on that, put him in the C tier, but I think ownership bumps him up to a B tier. And I feel as if on Sunday, I will be dumping more money into the Dolphins Ponzi scheme this week based on the ownership, because there are clear spots that are going to be much higher owned than the Dolphins. I don't mind playing Achane. I don't mind playing Tyreek. I don't mind playing a two with Tyreek, Jonnu Smith type of lineup at single digit ownership, and then you could play all the chalk around it and you'd be perfectly fine. The Jets, on the other hand, the Jets are bad. I don't mind. Like, if you wanted to play like Devontae Adams, 6,700 as a one-off, I think that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you have any interest in an Aaron Rodgers stack?
There have been weeks I've gone to bat for the Jets, and I still don't think they're as bad as they've been. But I don't have a lot of interest this week.
Okay, I wouldn't put them in the F tier, but
yeah,
solid D tier. Solid tier.
Cool.
The D tier typically for me is you're not crazy for doing it, but I'm not. Right? Yeah. F is kind of like you're crazy for doing it. Okay, next game. One of my favorite games on the slate. I think a great target. It's the Falcons at the Vikings. Vikings are favored by almost a touchdown, 6 points, something like that. 25.75 implied team total. The Falcons, 19.75 implied team total. I think Sam Darnold at 6,100 will be probably the cash game quarterback. In a lot of lineups on DraftKings. Then you could always pair him with. I think this game from a stacking perspective is like, if people play this game, it's going to be very obvious, like what the stack is. Like, it's Darnold, Jefferson, Hawkinson, and then you run it back with London or Bijan, and I'm much more inclined to run it back with Drake London at 6,400, with the Falcons only having a 19.75 implied team total, which means Bijan's touchdown equity is a bit lower, and the Vikings run defense is the best in the league. So Bijan's upside will most likely come through the air, if anything. And if it's going to come through the air, I'd rather just pay 6,400 for Drake London. The problem is that all these people that I just mentioned are all double-digit owned. So what are we doing here, Cardi? I mean, obviously it's in a dome, so the blitz probably projects Sam Darnold for like 74 points and Jefferson for 117 or something like that. So
pretty close, yeah.
Pretty close. I mean, I'm assuming the blitz likes this game.
Yeah, the blitz loves this game. It thinks these are the two best teams on the slate. Even when you consider price, it thinks they're probably the two best teams on the slate. It's really just about how owned are they going to be. But even though they are going to be chalky, I still think they're probably a little underowned. And I think some of the kind of the secondary pieces you can certainly play and get different with and have good stacks. You can play Darnell Mooney or Ray McLeod or Jordan Addison kind of thing.
I mean, I feel compelled to play Addison and Hawkinson and leave off Jefferson, because I feel like this. I mean, at least has Jefferson put up a score this year that you needed?
I feel like he's had one or two of those weeks, hasn't he? Maybe not.
I don't think so. That you need. I mean, I'm not saying that aren't good or anything. Like, if we go through DraftKings points. Okay, this is last year. Okay. Versus San Francisco on September 15th, he had 26.3 points at 8,900 on that slate.
Is that his high? I feel like he had like a 35 at some point. Maybe not.
I'm looking at the game log right now. That's his high. No. But he's consistent. He's put up 24, 22, 21, 20, 20. Right. But I mean, at now at 7,800, he doesn't need. I mean, a lot of these were
right.
His DraftKings salary was in the 8Ks. But I mean, I feel like Justin Jefferson. I mean, for all the best ball people don't like it. They haven't gotten any spike weeks or anything. But I think it's fine. I just think that this game is going to be overowned in that configuration of Darnold, Jefferson, Hawkinson, and then Drake London run back. Doesn't mean I want to play Cousins necessarily. But I think finding a way to get a little bit different, or playing that stack, but now you're going to get contrarian at the other spots. Like, you play that 4-man 3+1, but you don't play like you don't have Kamara in your lineup. You don't have Garendo in your lineup. You don't have the Jacoby Myers or whatever. You play some 5% wide receiver running back combo that is okay. In this game, can you stack Darnold with Aaron Jones?
You can, yeah. Aaron Jones hasn't been as involved in the pass game the last few weeks as he was earlier in the year. You know, they kind of like Akers. They're moving, working him in a little bit on the ground, but you can. I mean, especially as a way to kind of get leverage off of some of the other pieces, you definitely can.
The only thing is that he fumbled, twice last week?
Fumbled twice last week, but they did come out and say, like, they're not concerned. It's not going to change how they treat him. Personally, I'm not super worried about that.
Okay, I'm putting the Vikings in the B tier. Oh, and they would be A tier, but I'm docking them because of ownership considerations, and the Falcons are in the middle. I mean, can you play Cousins, London, something? Yeah. I mean, it's better than the Jets, but it's okay. That's not saying
it's a lot better than the Jets. Come on. Okay. I think C tier is fine, but they're considerably better than the Jets.
Next game, we got the Saints at the Giants. This has a fairly low total, 41. I mean, a lot of the games are low. We don't have that many big totals on this slate. The Saints are favored on the road. 22.75 implied team total. The Giants 18.25 implied team total. I think that the big decision this week, although you can play both of them, although those lineups are going to look very similar to to other people's lineups, is do you play Kamara at 8K or do you play Barkley at 9K? And the Blitz would tell you to play Kamara. No Taysom Hill anymore, and a roster of Bub Means and Marcus Valdez-Scantling and Cedric Wilson. Although not Javonte, Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller should be available for this game.
Kendry's a little up in the air, but it seems like he's got a real shot. And you mentioned Bub Means. He's still on IR. His window's open. He might not even be coming back. Like, this is really
but they're favored, and you look at their roster and you're like, it's Kamara and the Clown Show.
Well, who's their wide receiver 2 right now? Do you even know?
I mean, isn't Kamara wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 1?
Well, yes, but I mean, actual wide receiver 2 is a man named Kevin Austin, who you probably have never heard of. Like, this is a roster that is sorely lacking.
Yeah, but is that the reason why, like, just you have to give the percentage of like touches to Kamara?
Yeah, I mean, he's been getting a huge target share, and I mean, it makes sense because who else do they have? And he gets most of the work on the ground. And without Taysom Hill, his touchdown projection goes up. Like, yeah, Kamara is the best running back play on the slate.
So can you play? How about the stack of Carr, Kamara, Juwan Johnson? You
sure.
down with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right. Well, if you were to throw in one of these garbage wide receivers, I mean, I can't see myself playing MVS at 4,600. I'm sorry. I mean, but is that who you play? How about Cedric Wilson at 3,700? And if Bub Means is off the IR at 3K, do we play Bub Means?
I mean, you can, yeah. Like, it's kind of you're taking shots here. You're taking shots.
I'm just looking for the stack. What would the stack be other than Carr, Kamara, Johnson?
I mean, Kevin Austin's 3,300. If you're going to play the stack, you can just kind of throw in Austin, Means, MVS, Cedric Wilson, and hope that one of them kind of goes off for a really cheap price. I think that's the approach here, because we don't know which guy it's going to be, or if it's going to be any of them. They might just spread the ball around a lot.
Right. That's why I'm putting them on the C tier, because it's not like Kamara is going to be unowned. Kamara's going to be one of the most.
Kamara's going to be super chalky. Yeah.
Right. And Juwan Johnson will probably be the chalkiest, like, cheap tight end. Carr won't be owned, but I don't really care that much about quarterback ownership when it comes to this type of stuff. On the other side, I'm not inclined to play Drew Lock. I'm sorry, but I mean, I don't mind Neighbors as a one-off at 6,900, Tracy as a one-off at 5,800. I'm not enthralled with the Giants. I'd rather play the Giants probably than the Jets, but it's not much better.
No, I think they're kind of Jets D tier level.
Okay, let's go to the next game. Okay. The team with the highest implied team total on the entire slate, the Eagles, 29.5. They're at home facing the Panthers, 16.5 implied team total. Saquon Barkley has a rushing prop. I had to double check when I first saw it this week of 100. I don't, it may be higher now. 114.5 rushing yards is the prop.
Oh my God, is that real?
Yes, well, that's the prop at -1, whatever the hell, and it may have gone up since then. Jalen Hurts is 7,800. Obviously, I mean, the Eagles are going to score points. Devonta Smith should be back, 5,800. AJ Brown, 8,100. You got Goddard's out, so you got Calcaterra there if you want to take a shot on him. And then all the Panthers are cheap. It's kind of weird for me to say. The Eagles are most likely going to just run the ball because I don't think they need to do anything. It feels like the Eagles are not a team that tries to do things the hard way. They just we're gonna do things the easy way, and then we're gonna in the second half make it so that the other team can't win. Not that we could score a lot of points, but the other team just is not going to have the ball in order to win. We're not going to leave Jalen Hurts scrambling and throwing 20-yard passes or anything. That's what I get the sense. But the Panthers are so bad that I would not be shocked if the Eagles put up 50-plus points this game in any way they wanted to. So I feel like at 5,800, Devonta Smith is for the ceiling could be too cheap, and you play Hurt because they're expensive. So it's the stack is tough to play Hurts and Brown and Calcaterra. I guess you could do that. You're spending a lot of money there. But I feel like, a Hurts, Smith, Calcaterra lineup where Hurts ends up vulturing all of Barkley's potential touchdowns. So Barkley's sitting there. He still gets 17 points. Barkley's still fine, but Hurts ends up with the 30-plus points, and then you get the touchdowns from Smith and Calcaterra. I just don't think many people, I think outside of Barkley, I don't think many people are playing this game, and the Eagles have almost a 30 implied team total. And the Panthers are uniquely bad, where if whatever method you choose to beat them, they will oblige.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's more likely, like you said, they kind of lean on the run game, and that's not even necessarily just Saquon. Once they have a huge lead, you're going to see Gainwell, you'll probably see Shipley. If they go to the pass more than we expect, yeah, that could be really sneaky.
Or it could just be Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts could have 3 touchdowns this game. I mean,
yeah,
right? I'm just finding ways of where the leverage is on Barkley. And then the ownership on all these other guys are just no one's playing. I mean, I look at this ownership. Hurts at 3%, AJ Brown at 4%, Devonta Smith at 3%, Calcaterra at 2%. It's the Eagles have a 29.5 implied team total. Does everyone just assume that Barkley's getting everything? Just 200 yards and 4 touchdowns? I mean,
I think that is what people are assuming, and I don't think that's the right assumption.
Well, that's why do you think I want to take advantage of that? That's why I'm putting the Eagles because of ownership. I'm putting them in the A tier, right? Normally, I'd probably put them in the B tier, but because of ownership, I mean, how do you turn down a 4% on AJ Brown?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yes, I agree with you. The most likely outcome is that, the Eagles easily win. AJ Brown has 14 fantasy points, right? And Saquon Barkley has 28 fantasy points. Hurts has 28. I mean, and the score is 34-10. And that's the game, right? That type of game. Okay, next game. Your favorite players in this game. Panthers, by the way, they're on the bottom. Yeah, good luck. Good luck with your Bryce Young, Adam Thielen, David Moore, Leggett lineups. I'll see you on the bottom. Next game, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, 25-point implied team total against the Browns, 18.5 implied team total. Your favorite player, Russell Wilson, surely did not go under his number last week. That was a losing prop bet. By good thing you don't have to pay more by how off that you are.
Yeah, it's true. No, the Blitz does
matter.
not believe in Russell Wilson, and it's been a bit hit or miss with that.
And then on the other side, we have everyone's favorite quarterback, Jameis Winston. All he does is just step back and chucks the ball. Although 18.5 point implied total doesn't bode all that well for the Browns. The Steelers defense pretty good. Cedric Tillman is probably going to be okay to play as of now. I think the difference on the Browns is going to be whether or not Tillman plays, because that condenses the target share if he's out, which puts more on Judy, on Njoku, on Elijah Moore. But you got Wilson, Pickens, Freiermuth. Like, that's like the obvious, like, kind of the Steelers stack. I'm way more interested in Najee Harris in this game than the passing stack. But I also don't mind a Russell Wilson, Najee Harris, George Pickens lineup or something like that. I know you're much lower on Russell Wilson. The blitz tends to be than the industry. But if Jameis Winston's, like, it's quite possible the Steelers could have the ball for like 45 minutes this game.
Yeah, there's definite upside here, and the play volume projects to be very high. Like, both of these teams play fast, and like you said, Jameis Winston could just give him the ball a few times. I definitely see the upside here. I do.
Even though you're not a Russell Wilson guy.
Even though I'm not a Russell Wilson guy.
Right. I think they're solid. I think they're solid B tier, definitely. And then on the Browns side, I'm just going to qualify this with the Browns stack with Tillman in, I think is far less appealing than with Tillman out.
Right.
The Browns don't have a big enough implied team total that I want to start guessing on which two guys to stack this with. And once you take Tillman out, I think it's much easier to just Judy plus Njoku or Elijah Moore plus Njoku, and it's a cheap stack. Winston's 5,400. I think it ends up, if Tillman is out, I think it ends up a little overowned, if anything. Because people are just used to, like, oh, Jameis Winston, he's just going to throw the ball 55 times. I think it's more likely in this game he doesn't throw it 55 times, only because he's thrown 3 interceptions and didn't have the enough snaps to throw it. He ends up throwing it 34 times because the Steelers have the ball most of the game. So what are your thoughts on the Browns?
I agree that it's going to hinge a lot on Cedric Tillman. If he plays, I like them less. If he's out, then they bump up a little bit for me. I think for now, C tier probably makes the most sense.
Okay. Next game on the slate. The game that I like. We got the Raiders at the Buccaneers. The Bucks at home, 26.25 implied team total. Raiders, 19.75 implied team total. It seems like all these totals are very, very, like, almost a touchdown favorite for the home team for a lot of these games. Bucky Irving, a lot of people played him last week. I didn't. He's up to 6,600. I think he's going to end up being overowned. I don't think people realize that Rashad. I mean, they split more work in that backfield than people realize.
Yes.
But I think that I don't think the Buccaneers are going to have any problem scoring in this game. And I think everyone's going to play Sam Darnold at 6,100. And I think Baker Mayfield, 6,400. Mike Evans, 7,200. Kate Otten, 4,400. I think it's easy to. I mean, I think the Buccaneers have almost become a little easy to know where the ball is going to. And you could say the same about the Raiders. Aiden O'Connell, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers is also not really expensive. I like both sides of this game. I think the Raiders' running game is worthless. I think the Buccaneers pass at a higher. I think this game is competitive enough that the Buccaneers will be passing the ball more than just running the ball up 2+ touchdowns. So I think that the upside in this game is maybe higher than what the field thinks, because Jacoby Myers is going to be chalky. And I don't want to play Jacoby Myers as a one-off. I'd rather just play him as part of a stack. So play as the run back in a Baker Mayfield stack or with Aiden O'Connell. And I also think guys like Mike Evans and Cade Otton, like Cade Otton's going to be kind of squeezed out at 4,400. He's not a high-end tight end. He's not a low-end tight end. And Mike Evans, we have at 15% ownership. I think he ends up a little bit lower than that because he's a little too close to like Justin Jefferson and guys like that. So I'm just interested in this game as a whole. And it really just ownership will dictate which ways I go with this. But do you at least agree that the game is appealing?
I do, yeah. I like it more if the ownership stays reasonable. Like if Evans is going to come in, as like 15%, like the 5th highest owned wide receiver, I like it less, especially because we know Myers is going to be chalky. That's kind of the big thing for me, is figuring out like how owned it's going to be. Because just from a raw point perspective, I don't think it's elite. I think from a salary adjusted perspective, I don't think it's elite. I think if we get it at lower ownership, I like it.
Right. Like I don't want to play Mike Evans at 23% owned.
No.
I don't want to play Jacoby Myers at 28% owned. I don't want to play Brock Bowers at 20+% owned. Right. Once it starts getting to those levels, whatever. I'm just going under the assumption that more people will want to play Bucky Irving based on last week.
And
Especially,
if that's the case, then I do like it more.
Right. So I'm just expecting that more. Brandon Smith in chat says Myers is hurt and listed as a DNP. Well, we don't know anything on Friday.
That was from practice yesterday. I mean, there's a chance he misses, but we're still working under the assumption that he's playing. We'll see.
So if he misses, that means we play Trey Tucker again and get 0 points?
Yes, that sounds about right.
Okay, next game on the slate. The lowest total on the slate, 39, 30, 40 maybe. Jacksonville at Tennessee. The Jaguars, 18.5 implied team total. The Titans, 21.5 implied team total. And let me tell you, I understand why. It's the vomit stack. There's no way that I will go out of my way to play chalk Titans. I look at this ownership and I go, what are people doing?
Yeah.
Is Will Levis viable in cash games as a cheap quarterback? I think so. I think he's fine. I don't think you need to do that, but I don't want to play a 12% on Will Levis with a 15% on Calvin Ridley, with the Chiga Gonkwo. And then, how about Tony Pollard at 17%? It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing here, people? What are we doing here? I actually prefer, if I'm going to play this game, to play the Jaguars, to play Mac Jones plus Brian Thomas plus Evan Ingram. We take a look at even at the our stack percentages currently, our optimal percentages in our stacks tool here at RotoGrinders, and Mac Jones actually, Will Levis rates out the 4th highest likelihood to be optimal, but the most over-owned. And Mac Jones is like right in the middle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 8th, most likely, and one of the most under-owned. So if I'm going to play Calvin Ridley or something like that, I feel like I'll play it on the other side. I don't know. Titans chalk? I don't think it's crazy, but why am I playing this into ownership?
Right, exactly. If nobody was going to play it, you could make a case. Will Levis right now, I think, projects as the highest owned quarterback on the slate. Like this is not a spot where I'm looking to lean into the Titans. They're F tier for me with their ownership, and they don't even project that well. Like they're kind of cheap, but their projection's pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm putting them in the D tier. Like normally I'd put them in the C and then bump them down because of ownership. Truthfully, can we put the Jags in the C tier? Because they're not going to, are they really going to be that owned?
I don't think they'll be that owned. Borderline CD for me. If you want to put them in C,
right? I would play them over the Titans, but I'm not saying that they're necessarily a C tier team.
Right.
But I also think the ownership is going to be lower. We have like Brian Thomas at 11%. I think maybe he ends up being 7 or 8% owned. Like I think a lot of the Jags ownership ends up coming down a little bit. But I mean, it's not that appealing of a game. It's the lowest total on the entire slate. So, good luck to having chalk players in the lowest total game. Next game, the game that's going to destroy that. It seems like these two teams have played each other 14 times this year. I don't know why. I mean, obviously they're in the same division. They played twice, but it feels like these are two teams that I'm playing. They play a lot. It's the Seahawks at the Cardinals. Seattle 20.5 implied team total. Arizona 23.5 implied team total. And the Cardinals, Jekyll and Hyde. Some weeks they look great. Some weeks they're awful. Ownership isn't like low in this game, but this is not like a prime target game. But I still have no problem going back to Kyler Murray plus Marvin Harrison Jr. plus Trey McBride upside. And then I also don't mind Geno Smith doubles, right? On the other side, you could even play like a Noah Fant or something when he's back in the tight end spot. I'm not thrilled about this game because the more likely scenario is that when the Cardinals get up, they just hand the ball off to James Conner all the time, and they take a lot of time off the clock. So you'd almost prefer if Seattle was ahead. But the problem is when Seattle's ahead, they just give the ball to Kenny Walker and Zach Charbonnet and take a lot of time off the clock. So, I don't know what the blitz says as far as number of plays in this game. I like the upside, but I almost look at this game going, yeah, this could be a shootout, but this could also be the game that it's a 4:05 p.m. Eastern game and it's over before 7 Eastern. And Scott Hansen's like, oh, okay, this is not even in question, while the other games are still in the third quarter because 17-14 and you're done. And that's it.
It could be. I like the upside enough, especially with reasonable ownership, that I kind of like this game. They project well. I think also with it seems like there's a legitimate chance Kenny Walker doesn't play this week, which if he doesn't, when he missed earlier in the season, the team was a lot more pass heavy. So that would make Geno stacks, I think, more interesting. And Charbonnet would probably be chalky. So you'd get some leverage off of Charbonnet. In that scenario, I really like it. If Walker plays, I still like both sides. I like Arizona maybe a little more, but I like this game.
I'm going to put the Cardinals in the B tier. I'll put the Seahawks in the C tier for now. I mean, we'll adjust some stuff. Okay, next game. Well, I'll save I'm gonna skip one and we'll go back to it. It's at the same time. It doesn't matter. So, the highest total game on the entire slate is Buffalo at the Rams. Buffalo Bills 26.5 implied team total. The Rams with a 23-point implied team total, and the ownership in this game is not high at all, but it's primarily price concerns. Josh Allen, 8K at quarterback. James Cook, 7,400. He got tons of receivers on the Bills to stack him with. They're all pretty much overpriced. And then Stafford's fine at 5,700, but Puka's 77. Cooper Kupp, 7K. Kyron Williams, 7,300. Got some cheap tight ends that really don't do much. I think points will be scored in this game. The problem is anyone going to get there? Playing Stafford double stacks is very expensive. Playing Josh Allen with anyone is going to be expensive. Is the upside worth it in this game? I feel like you could play any one. It feels like this is the type of game where you look in the tier list. It's like, why is this game ranked so low? It's like, well, I think you can play one-offs. I think all of these guys as one-offs are fine. But as far as once you start pairing all these guys together, that's when you run into problems.
Yeah, I think that's really the issue here. Especially on the Bills side. Especially if Keon Coleman plays, they just have so many guys to throw to. You're just throwing darts.
So I'm going to put the Rams at C tier and the Bills at D tier. But I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being the highest total. I mean, that scores
It
the
could
most.
be, yeah.
Right. The problem ends up being that Kyron Williams has a touchdown, Cooper Kupp has a touchdown, Puka has a touchdown, Josh Allen has 2 rushing touchdowns, Kincaid has a touchdown. You go around and like no one has a flame emoji. It's like everyone, no one has has the icicle, but no one. You didn't need any of these people. Okay, last game on the slate. You got the Bears at the 49ers. Bears 20.25 implied team total. 49ers 23.75 implied team total. We got to talk about Isaac Guerendo. The Blitz, you have him projected lower than the industry in general.
A little bit.
A little bit. Juwan Jennings, also probably going to be a little bit chalky at 5,200 because the 49ers do have a 20. The 49ers have a decent implied total. On the Bears side, DeAndre Swift is going to get some ownership because the backfield is kind of been diminished, which leaves him open for a bit more work. Obviously, you can play Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. They're fine. Debo, who knows if he's still the same? Here's my take on this game as of now. This game is going to be popular, right? Guerendo is going to be popular. Swift is going to be popular. Jennings is going to be popular. People will take shots on Debo. I think there's a more than what the field expects chance that the 49ers are just bad. Like, I'm not saying Jets bad. They're not Jets bad, but they're not like, oh, well, one guy, typically the 49ers is like, oh, McCaffrey's out. Oh, Jordan Mason. He's the 49ers running back. He's obviously going to do well. Oh, Brandon Ayuk is out. Oh, you could just throw in this guy. He's going to do well. I have serious concerns that the offense may not have the ceiling. I mean, that may be fun. I mean, I'm not saying the 49ers are just going to like lay an egg, but defensively they have issues as well. Injury. I mean, like half the team is injured. I don't want to play the 49ers into ownership, and I truthfully have no issue not playing Guerendo in a GPP lineup because
I'm totally fine with that. Like, Guerendo is exciting because we've seen what backup running backs can do stepping into, the lead role in this 49ers offense. But I mean, there is downside here. Like we saw with Jordan Mason that, and then Elijah Mitchell as well. Like if it's not McCaffrey, there's no guarantee they're going to throw the ball to these guys. Like he could have a low target share. They have said, they like him as a receiver. He has that skill set, but they have a bunch of guys to throw to. It's possible, he winds up with the Mason target share of like 5%. They've talked about how they like this Izzy Abanakananda. I don't know how to pronounce his name, guy. Patrick Taylor has a bit of a receiving skill set. Like there are scenarios where Guerendo just doesn't get as much work as we're thinking and doesn't get in the end zone and flops. At super high ownership, like I think he's a good play, but I agree that at his ownership, I'm probably not like you can fade him in tournaments. I'm fine with that.
Like if Kenny Walker was out, I think Zach Charbonnet is a better play than Guerendo.
Oh, easily a better play.
4,800. Like, I mean, obviously in my cash lineup, I'd probably play both of them, but it's just from a GPP standpoint. Like I just feel like you may not need Guerendo.
Right.
He may get 12 points at 5,400 and be like, okay, he could be in the winning lineup, but I don't know. I don't trust the 49ers offense. I think people trust it too much. So I'm going to bump them down. I'm going to put the 49ers, if I can find them, okay, on the C tier. Like they're fine. Like I don't think they're Jets bad, but I mean they're okay. And then on the Bears side, what do you think of Caleb Williams stacks?
I don't really like him. I know the blitz is pretty low on Bears stuff this week. I know we do have. I didn't see practice reports. I don't know if it was Wednesday or yesterday that a bunch of guys missed. I think it was like Keenan Allen, Moore, Komet, all missed practice. DeAndre Swift and Roshan are both potentially in danger of missing. So if somehow we wind up with like, whatever DeAndre Carter costs, $3K, DeAndre Carter, and he's like the wide receiver 2 here, then maybe you have a little more interest. But just if it's kind of like a normal Bears game, I know the blitz isn't really a big fan here.
Okay, let's even out these tiers for the sake of pour one out for Squirrel Patrol and his OCD. We need one more team in the F tier. So basically, out of these teams in the D tier, the Bears, and remember, these are stacks. Bears, Titans, Giants, Jets, Bills. Let's say you had 4 lineups, and you had to play one of each, but you had to leave one out. Who would you leave out between these 5 teams?
I'd leave out the Titans at their ownership. I don't think they're that good
because of their ownership. They're just they go automatically down to the F tier.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about we're going to move one team down from the C tier. If you didn't play one team, ownership adjusted: Falcons, Saints, Browns, Jags, Seahawks, Rams, 49ers.
Is that hard? Call. Yeah, let's.
I mean, from a projection standpoint, it would be the Jaguars.
The Jaguars, yeah.
Right. So I'm just going to throw them down, but I'm just, at ownership, they're not all that bad. But at least now we're all kind of even right now. So like if I were to make a line, like if we go and let's go here to lineup HQ. So a lineup that I would make, if we have the Eagles and the Buccaneers as a top team, I mean, you can't really mix them together because once you play hurts. Like I could see playing a lineup that's like this for GPP. So let's put this together. So let's if we play a Hurts lineup, our Hurts with Devonta Smith and Calcaterra, right? Get the tight end in there, right? We can play Mike Evans in this lineup, right? And then we go, let's see, we got Evans, and then we got Dolphins, Cardinals, Raiders, Steelers, Vikings. Okay, we like Najee Harris, right?
Yeah.
Najee Harris. That's good, right? We're going to plug in the chalky Saints defense just for now, just so we know how much we have left. If we're playing Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts, this lineup could definitely have Isaac Guerrero in it, as far as like from an ownership perspective, right? 5,700. I mean, right? Pittsburgh, Cleveland. I mean, we could play a Cleveland player on the other side. We could do, flex wide receiver. When you play Guerrero, you could play Jennings in this lineup as well. You got 62. I mean, this is doable, right?
Yeah.
A Hurts lineup. I mean, once you start plugging in AJ Brown here, then you start running into problems, right? Then you start running into 2 tight end lineups, which I'm not saying are bad, but typically you try not to. Or if we turn this into a Baker Mayfield lineup, this is perfectly fine as well. So I think based on our tiers as of now, based on ownership, we got the Eagles and the Buccaneers up top. And if you play chalk Will Levis stacks into 1,000,000% ownership for no reason,
good luck with that.
Yeah, this is the point at Cardi. This 30-second clip is going to be clipped out when as of like 3:00 Eastern on Sunday, Will Levis has 420 passing yards and Ridley has 3 touchdowns. It'll be rumor on Friday when, right? But they were laughing, and Will Levis 16% owned, Calvin Ridley 24% owned, and they both put up like 200 yards. Yeah, I mean, funnier stuff has happened.
I mean, if that happens, so be it.
Gardy, tell the people more about the Blitz and anything else you have going on this week.
The Blitz is pretty good. Good for DFS, good for sports betting. I have the Blitz show today. We pre-record at 1:00. Blender's going to be on. That should get released later in the day. I have my betting show with covers, my betting show with unabated. I'll be putting out picks with scores and odds. Come check it all out. It's good stuff.
You have to act fake surprised when I say the same things I said on this show on the Blitz show. Right? You have to act, oh, really? The Buccaneers? Oh, or overowned Titans, right? We'll talk about that on the Blitz show. But Alex will be on, and he'll act real. See, the thing is, I'll act fake surprised. He'll act real surprised.
Yeah, he will. The Blitz Darnold? What?
No. I think Alex is going to be on Will Levis. It'd be like,
I think he's going to be on Levis too. I really want to see.
Be sneaky this week. Will Levis, like, he can be sneaky. He's actually going to be overrode.
Yeah,
right? That's what I'm expecting. And then we say, well, instead of playing Will Levis, play Aiden O'Connell. And he's like, what? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Give me those thumbs. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to always know when we go live. I'll be back next week as always, right? Because I'm here for you. Most weekdays, 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy, props and pick 'em on RotoGrinders Today.